All right. Okay, cool. We're live. Hope everybody can hear me. Wait wait a minute here to see if anybody jumps on. I'm obviously a little bit late this week doing this. Time change, as you can tell, I'm down in Arizona. It's an anniversary week and spend time with the family. All right, we'll get started here in just a minute. All right, I'm gonna get going here. It's gonna be a short one, I think. But we're gonna do the. This is this week's weekly wrap up live from Arizona. Here's what you missed this week on HMG with the shows. Starting off, we're gonna start off with Not Your Average Operator, episode 15. This one here, the guys talk about how to plan for a mission. These guys, Raph, Melon, and Mike, share some of their basics, or share the basics of their own experience in real world mission planning, a breakdown of some positive frameworks that you could possibly employ into your business career. When you listen to this one, take notes. This is a good one. Some of the topics that they covered: timelines, blue force picture, like that means who's involved. Capabilities, course of action, what's the intent, etc. So this was another great episode by these guys. It's Not Your Average Operator, and it's how to plan for a mission. All right, let me see here. Next up, we got the Decision Hour with yours truly. This week, I sit down with award-winning screenwriter and author of The Screaming Silence, Mr. Lanser Howard. Lanser started his career as a journalist and then transitioned into film, where he wrote and produced an award-winning documentary film, among several other screenplays. Nowadays, he focuses on poetry, which has led to his first full-length book called The Screaming Silence. Lancer took some time, about 2 years, to write this, and interviewed a lot of combat veterans that were in Afghanistan and Iraq, and then kind of tied in some of his own experience with PTSD and whatnot, and wrote this book. It's a book of poems. The Screaming Silence, you can get it on Amazon, so check it out. It was a great interview. And that was this week's Decision Hour. Who do we have on? Hey, fellas, good morning. Happy Friday to everybody that's tuning in right now. Appreciate you coming on. All right, this week, next up we have Straight Outta Combat is back. This week, host John Krotek interviews World War II veteran Mr. Kenneth Bender. Mr. Bender was a central fire control gunner, senior NCO on a B-29 Super Fortress. It's freaking awesome. Kenneth flew in several dangerous missions against the Japanese forces in the Pacific, including a reconnaissance flight over Nagasaki the day after the second atomic bomb was dropped. This was a really cool. It's like it's just a cool story. You know, it's anytime you get a chance to listen to World War II vets or veterans of the past, I just think it's really neat to sit down and hear their stories. That's part of that, greatest generation, right? So check that out. That's this week's Straight Outta Combat. What's up, brother? Chris. Next up, we got the Arms Room Show. This week they talked about OPSEC. per sec and what that means to the average person. I gotta give these guys a special shout out. I was fortunate enough to go by the studio earlier this week before they did this week's show. You can catch their show every Monday. I believe it's 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. I had to think about where I was for a second. 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and they do a Facebook Live every Monday. Glenn, John, and Drew, great people. You got to check them out. That's the Arms Room. They do a lot of training with Independence Training, Glenn's company. If you're interested in learning about firearms or dirt medicine, survival techniques, I mean, they have a ton of classes. I would go to trainingaz.com to check it out. If I have any questions when it relates to like guns or any classes or stuff like that I think should be taken, I call Glenn first. He's a longtime friend, and they spend extra time with the people that they train and stuff to make sure it's done right. So check that out, because they'll travel across the country. They travel a lot across the country, and they put on a great show. So check it out. That's this week's The Arms Room Show. Next up, we have the Military Millionaire podcast. And this week, the topic was write a book and turn it into multiple streams of income. This is a really important topic. Any of you that watch this, or that are currently watching this, or watch this later on, if you've thought about writing a book and you haven't started, contact us at Heroes Media Group. That's something that we can help you out with, and we can show you how to turn it into multiple streams. But listen to this podcast. David does an amazing job with this show. And if you're not following the Military Millionaire podcast, he's got a group called From Military to Millionaire on Facebook. You could check that out as well. All right, next up, we have the Gary Brugman podcast. Gary breaks down the VP debate this week. How many people want to talk about that this week? I'm not going to. You guys know I don't do the whole politics thing on these shows. But yeah, Gary, he breaks down the VP debate this week. So check that out, the Gary Brugman podcast. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, we got a lot of people coming on. Thank you very much. And my computer just took a crap, so I'm going to have to wing this from here, it looks like. Next up, we have Time to Shine Today podcast with our buddy Scott Ferguson. Yeah, and my notes just took a dive. So we're going to wing this, and you guys are going to walk around with me. So this week, Time to Shine Today. Scott does the show every week, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. He's always pumping out content. Check him out. Earlier this week, he had a gentleman from the Swole, which is like surfing. Been on before. He's had another coach on this week that talked about growing with a community, especially this year. This year's been a crazy year, so how to be positive, stay positive, and grow with a community. The other show we had was I just drew a blank. What else did we do this week? We had the Power of Investing in People podcast. Check that out. Shay had a great guest on this week, and I'm sorry, I should have my notes on, but my computer died on me. So check out the Power of Investing in People podcast. We also, I believe, we got some stuff coming up. Something important I want to bring up to everybody that watches this: the Wounded Warrior Bill of Rights right now. If you're not following the Arc of Justice on social media, follow them. And they're trying to pass a bill, or get a bill passed right now, called the Wounded Warrior Bill of Rights. What this bill does is helps our active duty personnel who are injured or whatnot prior to transitioning out of the military. It's a big thing going on. I'm going to have all these links here once I get back inside and plug the computer in. I'll have these links posted down below as I do every week. But I want everybody to please check that out. Wounded Warrior Bill of Rights. Take a look at it, sign the petition, and then tell everybody else about it. Please pass it around. It's very, very important for our active duty members. So with that being said, that's all I got this week. I'll have the links shown up here in the comments section below here in just a few minutes. Have a great weekend. Next week we're back out east, and we'll see you next week.